Okay. Um, so we're going to go ahead and get started. We've got an hour together, you and me, and any students who are able to join. Really happy to have you speaking to our class on the business of communications. Mich, can you just start by introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about what you do?
Absolutely. And Kurt, thank you for allowing me to be here. And students, hello. My name is Mich Hancock. I do many things. I own a company called 100th Monkey. And what we specialize in is social media marketing, digital marketing, whether that's, just helping somebody with their presence or running campaigns and such via those digital channels. I am also the co-founder and license holder for TEDx St. Louis. So anyone out there who is a TED or TEDx fan, we're your St. Louis TED. And I have a podcast called Mishmash where I just get to talk to people that are doing notably kind acts, which I think we need to hear a lot more of these days. So that's the basics of what I do.
And so when you were coming up in school and trying to figure out what you wanted to do with your life, naturally you said, well, I want to be a social media marketer. And that's what you went out and did.
Oh, yes, because I was super young. No, here's what happened. So when I first started my career and like after college, I loved marketing. I was really into marketing. I did lots of different types of marketing back in the olden days when we did lots of print. We did event marketing, which is a whole another level of marketing that definitely has changed with COVID, lots of virtual events going on now. But when I was looking at social media, I was so intrigued by it. And I thought, this feels like finally all of my strange skill sets have come together in this odd thing called social media. And so I got in there and started figuring it out and was excited by it and wanted to offer it to clients. And what happened for me personally was I became at the age I am. So I started this company 11 years ago. So I was, in my late 40s. What I became was a safe bridge for older people to get into social media because they were a little taken aback by it. They couldn't wrap their brain around it for whatever reason. I don't know. I think I should get like millennial honor card. I was more millennial than what I am, but it was a way for them to have a person who's been around, who has seen lots of marketing, who has done lots of marketing, help them understand the importance of social media marketing and why they needed to be there. And that's what happened.
So did that lead into the establishment of 100th Monkey? Is that the agency that you created out of that discernment?
Yes. And so there actually is something called 100th Monkey phenomenon. And the story is basically a group of scientists were studying this colony of monkeys on this little island in Japan. They were giving them sweet potatoes. They just kind of throw the sweet potatoes out there. Sweet potatoes would be covered in sand. Not the best way to eat them. And one of the monkeys discovered, if I take this sweet potato covered in sand, take it over to the stream, wash it off, this is just a much better meal. And little by little, the rest of the monkeys took up that same behavior. And the scientists said by the 100th monkey, it became the new way of doing things. And that's how I viewed social media.
And so that's how you ended up establishing the agency that you
run? That's where the name came from. It's like the tipping point.
Yeah. How long has the agency existed?
We are over 11 years now.
And Are you in a position to talk about any of your clients or some of the work that you've done?
Sure. Yes. So early on, when I first started the company, I was running around to all these different networking meetings. And the thing I kept hearing from everyone was, oh, you should be the social media marketer for mortgage clients or for to really get myself into a certain industry. I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't. I'm way too creative for that. I would have gotten bored very quickly. where the commonality is in what we do is really it's humans that are talking to humans. We're all about the H2H. So whether the human you're talking to is another business owner, so you're more B2B, or you're talking to people who want to buy cool plants, you're B2C. Our goal is with every single one of our clients is really to help them figure out their messaging. Who are they and how are they showing up? Now, some of the clients, like a mortgage client, as example, they have, some of them come across a little bit too mortgagey, and so we've needed to lighten them up a bit, help them to be more accessible, and for them to understand, you're talking to people who need you just to talk to them like a human being and not talk over their head, and help them understand all the millions of terms that are out there. So that's part of what we're doing for them. The other thing, so I have clients, many different types of clients. I will have clients that are, like I said, mortgage. I've got an automotive client. We have a client that's a garden center. We've got clients that do really interesting things, like their IT departments just for fire districts, very, very niche. All kinds of different clients. I love it because we get to learn a lot about that client, even if they are a client that's in a crowded space. And I'm sorry, my dog Tuffy decided to lend his voice to this particular conversation. Even clients, like as an example, we've got, we're bringing on a new client right now they're a gym. And from the outside and the inside and everywhere in between, they look like a workout place. But once I talked to them and I understood why they're different and unique, because everybody is different and unique, then now I'm able to help them understand the importance of putting themselves out there in a way that shows off. We're not just your average gym. This is what we've built around all of this. And so you got to dig a little bit with them. And also really just get them to become comfortable with maybe taking pictures, doing some videos, which is hard. It's hard to self-promote for some people, but I work with them enough to eventually get them there.
Got it. And I think we've been joined by two of our students, Danny and Brian.
Nice to meet
so
you guys.
Welcome to both of you. Thanks for coming. And I'll be sure to leave time to give you a chance to ask some questions as well. So can we talk a little bit about the mortgage client? I mean,
Sure.
It doesn't have to be a specific mortgage client, but the idea here is that this is a company that is in the business of helping potential home buyers secure a mortgage. They're looking for customers themselves in order to sell them a mortgage, underwrite it, all of that work that has to happen. Why is it important for them to be engaged on social media?
Well, they're in a crowded space, first of all, and we already know no one just picks up a phone and calls someone anymore. They look at you digitally first. So they're going to look at your website, they're going to look at Facebook, they're going to look at Instagram, they're going to look at LinkedIn, they're going to look at all kinds of places, get a sense of who you really are before they pick up the phone. Now, one of our clients, they said, "Oh, we want to be on Instagram. We're ready to be on Instagram, Mich. Let's get going on that." Especially, we feel like that's where we're really going to meet the millennial home buyer. I agree 100%. But my question to them was, do you want to show up on Instagram like you do on Facebook? Because we can do that. That's easy. But what I feel you should do is really think creatively about being on Instagram in a different way than every other mortgage company out there. So what we're working with them on is we're telling stories. So we actually did research to find out the top millennial names for boys and girls, men and women. Happens to be Justin and Jessica. So Justin and Jessica are a millennial couple. They are buying their first home, and we're going to tell the story of them, but we're going to go outside to other members of their family. So one of them has a gay brother, and the gay brother is looking to buy a house with his partner. What does that look like? Then another one may have a single sister. What does that look like? Mom and dad may need a reverse mortgage. What does that look like? And then all of them are going to participate in St. Louis activities because they're a St. Louis company. So that's that accessibility, like Go Cards, Go Blues, that sort of thing. So what we're doing is through the storytelling, we are educating the millennial home buyer on what they need to know, and then how they can also help the people around them.
Got it. So this is a way of making the process and the industry accessible to people who may not have had a chance to engage with it previously.
And enjoyable. That's much more interesting than the mortgage rates today are.
Sure. Is it too cynical to say that this is sort of the gateway drug that gets me in? And then once I learn a little bit about mortgages and this particular mortgage company, now I might move it deeper in and find out, okay, well, what kind of information are they going to need from me? What kind of reputation do they have among other clients?
And that's all part of the process, right? Because what we want to be able to, we're telling the story of the company along with the stories of these pretend individuals that we've created. But buying a house the first time is scary, right? I mean, you and I have both done it at some point, Kurt. And the first time you buy a house, you just feel like, I don't know what I'm signing. I could be telling them I'm giving them my cat. I don't know, And so rather than, part of it is education. So it's educating, and that's, you have to educate first many times before someone is going to buy something from you. So we're educating, we're answering those questions and helping them to see themselves in the characters that we're portraying.
So one of the things that we're talking about in our class is the way that what you're doing is a business, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You're in the business of communicating. You are a communications business.
Yes.
So can you talk a little bit about your business model?
My business model for 100th Monkey. So the way that we work things is I have some people that work for me that are full-time people. So, Monday through Friday, we are doing what we need to do for our clients. We've got people that work for us part-time that their sole purpose is just posting to the pages. So since they can, since they are able to schedule those posts, I mean, if they want to do it at 3:00 in the morning on a Sunday, that's fine with us as long as they get it done. And then we've got a group of people that take shifts because social media doesn't sleep. Generally speaking, we're not going to be answering anything at 10, 11 o'clock at night through 6 o'clock in the morning. But other than that, we are keeping an eye on pages. We're checking them several hours a day because so many people now are using social media as customer service. And as we know, social media is not just I'm on TV and I've got my commercial and I'm talking up to you, but you don't get to talk back to me. Social media, people get to talk back to you and they need to be heard. I often use the example of how many times have you walked into a restaurant and it's like you're invisible and all the people are just walking past you. No one is paying attention to you, when all it takes is for that restaurant owner to instill in all the employees. If you see some people standing there waiting to be seated or looking like no one's paid attention, look at them and say, hi folks, good to see you. We'll be with you right in just one moment. Customer service is crazy important. And so making sure that that's happening on all of your channels is a must. Our business model is we're a bunch of moms. So I'm going to tell you right now, we're just like a bunch of caretakers. We will hold your hand. We will help you figure this all out. We will explain why we are doing what we are doing. And we tend to be very unique in our approach. So I may give this great idea to that mortgage company. I'm not going to give it to the next mortgage company. We're going to have to come up with a whole different unique thing for them that really speaks to who they are and the kind of audience they're looking to attract. So we are looking very deeply into everything that they are doing and crafting this presence for them that they feel like this really is us. This really speaks to who we are and what kind of audience we wish to attract. Does that help?
It does. So if I'm the owner of the mortgage company and I want to do this, be engaged more on social media, I'm going to come to you. We're going to work out a contract and I'm going to pay you a monthly fee. Is
Yes.
that how that works?
Sometimes there's a setup fee because there may be some additional work we have to do in the beginning, like put together your Facebook business manager, and your ad platform as an example. Or we're going to, if they're going to do some sort of we also do email campaigns. So if they're going to do an email campaign, that may require making a landing page, and then we're getting the advertising out, which takes people off to the landing page, which hopefully captures the contact information so we can continue to talk to those people. So sometimes there's upfront work, but generally speaking, we are on you pay us this each month and we're doing the work for you. We do have to protect ourselves as a company because scope creep is a thing. So I can say, this is what we're going to do for you. And then the next thing you know, which is a good thing and a bad thing. So we have clients that treat us like employees. Like I can just shoot an email off to you and you magically go make things happen. When that happens, we have to maybe have a talk with them about boundaries a little bit, like we want to do all this for you, but you just keep shooting off top of mind things and not really thinking them through. This is discussion. We have to talk about what this looks like because I don't want to miss emails from you. And I also want to make sure I know exactly what it is you're looking for. And sometimes it's just, I went to a seminar and this person said this, and now I think we should do it. And I'm like, wait, but should you do it? Let's talk about you,
Sure,
so we're
sure,
very, we want to make sure that we're doing our due diligence for that particular client.
Right. So, you're selling your expertise in this area to me. I'm the mortgage company, and you have this suite of services that you can provide. And upfront, you and I would have discussed, well, here are the services that I'm going to need from you in terms of managing my social media platforms or creating a landing page or helping me develop an email marketing campaign, all of those sorts of things. And then once we've settled on what that suite of services is and what the scope of your relationship with me is, then we have that contract and I'm going to pay you a regular monthly fee to fulfill the terms of that contract.
And we are, the goal is always that marketing is going to be an investment in the beginning, but that marketing ends up paying for itself and then some. So the numbers are important. The numbers are important. So as an example, if we start advertising for you, we need to be able to show you, here's what happened. You had this many people click on the ad. Even more important, you had this many people that were converted. So the conversion is different in the digital space. The conversion may be, as an example, if you're a brick and mortar and I want people to go to your store, what tells me we're doing great is people clicked on get directions, right? That tells me they're interested enough in you that they went to go get directions. Now, what's so interesting about marketing is it will tend to uncover things that aren't working in your business that are outside of marketing. So we had a client, it was a brick and mortar shoe store. We were showing that they were getting 1,500 new unique visitors a month from the advertising campaign. And they kept saying to me, it's not working. There's no sales happening. Well, I knew the problem. I knew. I tried to address it before, but they didn't want to have anything to do with it. I just addressed it again. I said, look, we have to have this uncomfortable conversation, but it's an important conversation. The manager of the store. And they all were like, yeah, we know. The manager of the store was terrible. When I first met this man, and I went in to just introduce myself, hi, and I own this, and I'm going to be working with you. I walked in, and he looked at me and went, did you need something?
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I was like, huh, if I were buying shoes, I'd run out the,
So he was like the opposite of social media. He was taking all these people that you were pulling in.
And I couldn't get him to work with us.
Yeah.
I could never get him to work with us. I kept saying, why don't you, I really want you to show us these new styles, and he'd say, we shouldn't put that out there. And I'm thinking, he's like, because they're limited. And, then people come in and want this. I'm like, no, but we just want people come to show up, go in the door and show up. And then it's your responsibility then to get them to, to help them to find the shoes they want and purchase them. But I can't put the same pair of shoes up all the time. Somebody comes in, So sometimes that's the perfect example of a client that kept getting in their own way. And it wouldn't work. It just never worked because I couldn't get them to move. It's a family-owned business. He was part of the family. That's a whole other thing,
absolutely.
Right?
So in this line of work, what is it that you think people don't understand about what you do?
I am positive they don't understand the amount of work that goes into it. So, when you see a post, if you look at really good posting, there's a lot that's gone into that post. There's the copy, there's the call to action, there's a link of some sort to link you over to additional information. There's the visual, there's the hashtags. There is a lot that can go into one post. Now, this is not to say that all posts are this way or that that's the appropriate way for all posts, but there is a lot of work that goes into just one post many times. And where a lot of confusion comes into play is that we have clients that will call us and say, well, I haven't done social media. Oh, I got to get on it. Can you help me? And I have to have the bummer talk with them of, you have a 3-page website. I can't point people to a 3-page website all the time. We have to create content. So another part of social media that's big is, are you creating content? Are you writing blogs? Are you creating videos? People need more than just, we're great, check out our website. You're going to lose people and nobody's going to really, really want to engage or care about you. So we have to figure out ways to get people to engage with you, and that's through content.
Right. I mean, it doesn't take you very long when you're doing this sort of thing for an institution to realize that every time you post something about an event that's coming up that you want people to register for, it gets 3 engagements. But if you post a really cool story about an alumnus who's launched a new company and is going gangbusters, that gets all kinds of engagement.
Exactly. Of course it does, because we like stories.
Right.
I mean, that why is TED and TEDx a global phenomenon? It's there are industry and subject experts that are put on that stage, but a lot of times there's going to be some sort of there has to be a story that's woven into that talk.
Sure.
And our speakers, we work with Coca Biz, and Coca Biz helps them to craft their story. They go through a whole class to learn how to do so.
So I don't want to let too much more time go by without bringing up the big news of the minute that has been breaking over the last week and a half or so, because I'm interested to know in what way it affects you. So we know that a whistleblower has testified before a congressional committee. There's been a lot of news out there about her revelations concerning Facebook. Facebook itself has put out the pieces of some reports that indicate that the way they conduct business on Instagram is not healthy for young girls. There's this idea based on some of the documentation that the whistleblower has shown us that Facebook has prioritized its monetization over its ability to regulate misinformation, for example.
Right.
So there's this whole idea of social media not being a connector, but being a divider. That's really what's at the core of this. And I guess I wonder, first of all, what your reaction to any of that is. And secondarily, how does that affect the work that you do? I mean, this is your living. This is how you.
Right.
So can you sort of speak from both of those points of view?
So far it hasn't affected us. We believe in, we only want to work with clients that are of integrity, and we only want to put out information that is good information, that isn't meant to steer people in any other direction. But this is something that you need, and or if you need something like this, we want to be the company for you. So I'm picky. I actually have had clients in the past that I figured out, this one's a shyster, So I nicely let them know that I just don't feel like we're in alignment with each other, and I don't think that we're going to be able to help them, because I just don't want to work with those folks. And the bigger picture, I mean, this is heady stuff, right? Like, what the heck is really going on? Facebook's algorithms are based on what do people want to see. So when I get people and in fact, I've got a video that I did about this, about how, basically being kind on the internet. And in the video, I challenge people and I say, what are you clicking on? Every click you make lets the internet gods know what you want to be fed. So if you are engaging with anger, if you're engaging with untruths a lot, that's what's going to be fed to you. You are teaching the internet what you want to see. This is a good thing and a bad thing. For me personally, it's great. I have feeds full of people that are supportive and loving and optimistic and positive, and we're going to do this, guys, that kind of thing. Now, not to say that, I'm not paying attention to what's going on. I'm not like, oh, I'm going to pretend like everything's, rainbows and unicorns and what have you. I will go out and I will look at what is being talked about, but never from just one resource, and never from, during the presidential elections, I was watching CNN and Fox. I wanted to see what both of them were saying. It was amazing, the difference. We have this issue of people that want to be right more so than anything else. So they get themselves locked into this echo chamber, and they just keep listening to, I'm right. See, I am right. I knew I was right. And then that's a very unhealthy way to be. As a person, it would behoove you to listen to what other people say, and not to lock yourself in with, like, this is my belief system and that's it. I'm done. That's how I'm going to believe for the rest of, my life, because new information is always coming in. The difficult thing these days, and I'm with you on this, is that the truth or not. And it is becoming more and more difficult to know what really is the truth. So then the challenge I have for people is gut feeling is a thing. That intuitive part of you is a thing. And I have over the years developed that in the sense of just starting out with little things. Like if something says, don't take this exit, the exit you always take, you shouldn't take it. You got to take a different exit. I'll just do it. I'll take the different exit. I don't know 100% if that was the right thing to do or not. but I don't want to get off and be like, oh, this is out, and then get an accident or something terrible happens. So my feeling is if you work that muscle a bit, it also helps you to navigate the world in a way that helps you to understand, like more thought has been put into what am I going to believe and not believe. And then knee-jerk reactions are absolutely no-nos. And then we see it all the time. So we see that someone is like, did you hear that so-and-so, and who knows if it's true or not, this thing about the celebrity out there. And then everybody's jumping on the bandwagon and saying terrible things about this person. And then later on, it comes out that all of that was fake. And then you just jumped on a bandwagon rather than just quiet. Maybe you shouldn't lend your voice about something you're not completely 100% sure of.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting point. A lot. What's interesting here is you're dealing with individuals who have their own minds and who can make their own decisions, but somehow in the aggregate, it doesn't. The sum totals less than it totals less than the sum of the whole somehow.
Well, yeah, and I mean, what do you see on your feed? What you see on your feed, if it's making you mad, you have to step back and go, have I been engaging with this though?
Sure.
Because if I'm engaging with all of this, everybody's feed is different. Everybody's feed is unique. So the feed you see is really a mirror. It's a mirror of you and what you are attracted to and what you engage with.
Well, and so I think the issue for you may be, for people of goodwill, is the reputation of social media going to ultimately undermine the work that people like you are trying to do?
So far, it has not. I also think that there's, yes, I hear it all the time. I hear marketing things that are going on. They're like, and I made $8 million because I did this crazy thing. I made this thing that, just burrows into the system and does. And it's like, well, but I feel that as a human being, I don't want to chase the almighty dollar at the expense of doing something that could potentially harm or mislead or I hear it all the time from people like, well, I saw this thing and they're and for only $1, I'm going to get 800,000 followers on Instagram. I'm like, what do you think the quality of those followers are, and how many of them do you think will buy from you? There's a lot of fake accounts. There's a lot of fakeness going on, even influencers. I mean, I might check into the Beverly Hills spa, but really I'm in a little kiddie pool in my backyard with my head with lots of rose petals around me telling you that's where I'm at. The pictures are not really real.
So it sounds like what you're saying is, yeah, there is all of this falderall going on, and there are these questions that are being raised about the utility to our country, to our society, of social media. But even given that, there is room for people who are trying to have integrity in the work they're doing, who are trying to engage as brands with their customers. There's still room for that.
Absolutely. There's no reason to give up. There are, there's a lot of business out there to be had for everybody. I know I keep talking about the mortgage company, but what's so interesting is we've got two mortgage companies that are very, very different than each other. So they have very different types of audiences that are attracted to them. And there is business for you. What we got to figure out is how to make it work. So what is the thing that is going to increase your sales? And sometimes it's not social media. I mean, sometimes it really isn't. But we do all kinds of marketing. So, if something isn't working, you don't keep doing it. if you've given it enough test runs. So we have to test a lot in the beginning. Most of my clients, I mean, they are not the Coca-Colas of the world. So they don't have millions of dollars to spend on marketing research. So what we do instead is we do the research by doing to figure out how to make it work for them.
Got it. Let me pause and see, Danny, do you have any questions that you'd like to ask? Now this is where I'm catching you guys off guard.
Like, dang it. You didn't tell us we were going to have to come up with questions.
Oh, yes. Hey, I do have a thing. At one point in your delivery, I said, I'm not going to say monologue, but in your lecture, you were saying that with Instagram, you have to be totally different. If you be totally different on one part of social media, is that confusing your audience on the other part of the thing? Because they always say that when you do social media, if you do Facebook, Instagram, whatever, that you have to have the message be consistent so your audience don't get confused. Is that true, or?
That's a really good question. That really is. And so the messaging, the visuals, there has to be something that gives it that cohesiveness. You can't go completely off track, right? Because then, yes, you will create confusion. And so, and you've probably seen this where like the cover image and the profile picture on one is this and the other is that, and it's all over the place, and they're using different colors and a logo from 10 years ago that they forgot to update. So part of what we are doing in the beginning is we're making sure that they've got that consistency in a lot of the places. But on Instagram, which would you follow more for a mortgage client? Would you follow the updates on the mortgage rates and such, or would you follow the stories? And Instagram is very visual and very story oriented. So there's a balance between here's what we're doing on all of our social media, but platforms have their own personalities and way of being. So you also have to, kind of go with what works on the platform. So yeah, it is a balance though. And that's why a lot of testing has to take place.
Let me ask one more follow-up question is that what's the difference between what you're doing and what design and thinking companies do?
And what kind of companies?
Designer thinking.
Designer thinking.
Yeah, you kind of like Shark Tank would be designer thinking class. Where you brainstorm, you come up with some kind of you come up with what's the word I'm looking for? Well, you come up with a thing to use for the social media and stuff like that, and man, I took the design.
I'm gonna guess. Tell me if I got this right. Mm-hmm. Are you talking about a strategy?
Yes.
Right. So yes. So we have clients. We've got clients that come to us and they've already got they've got their messaging down. They've got their branding down. What have you? Then we have clients that come to us and they don't have any of that. So let's just go forward and start doing social media. Sometimes I have to stop them and say, before we go there, we're going to need to do what we call a strategy session with them. Strategy sessions can be anywhere from 1 hour to 3 days, depending upon the size of the company and what they do. And then the end of that strategy session, you have a plan so that everybody is looking at the same thing and knows what the plan is. So yes, that must come into play if a company has not already done so.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And this idea of being different on different social media platforms, there is this element, I think, of being consistent so that I recognize Acme products on Instagram and I recognize Acme products on Facebook, but Acme's content plan may be tailored for the Facebook audience differently than it is for the Instagram audience.
Correct. Yes.
Not only who is on the platform, but what kind of media works better on one platform versus another, what tools are available, et cetera. Is that Is that about right?
Right. So like, as an example, on LinkedIn, a company may show up a certain way, right? Now I haven't looked at it. Like I'm going to just guess Netflix. If they have a LinkedIn anything, it's not the same as what they do on Twitter, which is they're hilarious. I mean, they're just so funny, and they're very light and silly and fun. And so that wouldn't make sense to do on LinkedIn. But the company, you recognize, you get a feel for some different personality types within the company, but you still Netflix, and so it's the same thing. It may be the logo that holds it all together, who's doing what where, but you also get a sense of, in the end, looking at everything, I know this company would take care of me. And that's what they're showing in everything they're doing.
I got a question then, a follow-up question to his. Let's say, for instance, now Netflix is like a known company. Let's just take a company, let's say, that might have a same name as another company. How do you distinguish your company from another company that might have the same name, especially if you're doing something different on Facebook and Instagram?
So again, it's your messaging and your branding, right? Okay. So, I mean, believe me, 100th Monkey, there's other 100th Monkey companies out there. I think there's one that does video there, it's out there. But when you go and when you look at our social media presence and website, I hope you gather quickly, like, this is a marketing agency and they specialize in social media, right? So you may look at it, so that is one of and I see this on LinkedIn a lot, where there's a company that has the same name. In fact, I'm working with a company right now out in Silicon Valley, and they have the same name as a lot of other companies. And what that has resulted in is they've got a lot of employees showing up on their LinkedIn that aren't their employees. They're like, no, we don't have any employees in Indonesia. I'm like, well, there's a company that has your same name in Indonesia. And I think that they just, started to type the company in and it auto-filled, and they went, yeah, that's it, without paying real good attention. So there are ways, like I'm working with LinkedIn right now to let them know, hey, these people have shown up on this company's as employees with this company, but they're not, I think they're with another, company. So please look into it. And there are lots of ways to work within the systems. We've been doing this long enough and enough money runs through the company to Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn, what have you, that we have account managers, that we are like human beings that we are working with at all of the companies, that help us to optimize the ads and just understand what's going on. If something's not working right, why isn't it? Let's figure this out. Or the bots catch things that they shouldn't have caught. Like it's a fine ad, but for whatever reason, the bots didn't like something. Your average person trying to do on their own, it's going to be really hard to get Facebook to talk to you. We have a weekly meeting and say, hey, the bots caught this, and they put their eyes on it and go, oh no, that's fine. Yeah, I'll get it through.
Okay. Sounds good to me.
All right.
So you brought something up that I'm gonna ask you a question about, but I first want to ask Brian if he has something he'd like to ask you.
Yes. All right. So I was reading on, I guess, your bio about how you help businesses of different sizes. And maybe this is too broad of a question, but is there a different strategy that you take for a smaller business that you're helping with digital marketing versus a larger business? Or is there kind of kind of like a clear cut plan that you use for both, and then you just kind of veer off from there according to what you need or what they
There's
need?
not really clear cut. There are, of course, good practices that we put into play. But so as the owner of a company and dealing with these different sized companies, it's on me to also help them align their budget with expectations, right? Mm-hmm. So that's one of the things, we have to figure out, like, what is your budget? And then what is your expectations? Because, we do get people like, well, I got $200 a month and I think you need to get my revenue up to $7,500 a month. I'm like, okay. So let's talk about it. There's sensibility that has to come into play.
Mm-hmm.
So for a small company, as an example, and they don't have a big budget, so we are willing to work with them. And okay, well, maybe what you're doing is you are hiring us to consult with you. And we're going to teach you as much as we can on how to do this on your own, with the hope that you grow to a place where you can now afford to hire an agency. It may be, let's start with just posting to your social media and doing what we call an evergreen ad. So an evergreen ad is an ad that can run continuously. And so, it's like you create it, you get it out there, you choose your audience. Now, the thing we never, ever do is set it and forget it. You cannot do this in social media. And I've seen it. We've gotten into the back ends of clients we're taking on and been like, this ad has been running for 3 years and no one has touched it. And it's not doing them any favors. They're just throwing money out the window, basically. Oh, you can't believe it. So what we're doing is we'll create this evergreen ad, but that doesn't mean we're not going to look at it. We're still looking at it, making sure it's performing, tweaking it to have it perform better. Ads will have a tendency that we call it go sour. They'll quit working. And so we need to go in there and we need to zhuzh it up a bit. There may be an opportunity where we start to see that, boy, we're really getting some recognition from an audience we hadn't thought of before. Let's add that audience in. Vice versa, we've gotten attention from audiences we really didn't want. And so we've had to put some parameters on those ads because, I had a client that was getting some really mean comments on things. And I was like, what is going on? And so we did a deep dive. We looked at the different profiles that were commenting and we saw a common factor with all of them. And we're like, okay, put that in the don't advertise to those people Facebook list, So you have to just, there has to be that very open communication between you and the client so that you understand, I one time was, and I actually decided I can't work with these people. I just saw high maintenance. All right, but especially because they were like, sometimes our last marketer would use verbs we didn't like. I thought, oh no, you're going to be a problem. But when I was talking to them and I had outlined 3 different ideas for them at different price points for them. And, as people do, he chooses the middle one. But he's like, I want that one. But see, I also need you to do, I'm like, okay, so then we hopped up to the more expensive one, just so you know. But I want this price. I get it. But, see, I understand that you want everything for that price. But as a business owner, I have people to pay. It's on me to keep growing this company so I can keep paying these people and stay with the clients that love and adore us and not just like one day call them and go, sorry, closing my doors. So, there's bigger things at play and
Yeah, you have to know your value and you have to value your own value, or else how else are you going to expect anybody else to value your value?
Exactly. And it's tough. I mean, Brian, when I first started this company, people could say, hey, do you mow yards? I'm like, oh yeah. Where you live? When I was hungry for business, I was just like, I would do data entry. I just did everything I could to just get money coming into the business. And then, at a certain point, I was like being a little bit picky, like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. And then things I don't want to do, like, I don't want to develop websites. I now have website partners. Mm-hmm. So these are other companies that I have vetted that I know they know what to do. They are an amazing company. So it's great for our clients because, everybody's got their website story of the horrible website person that they've worked with. So we're able to say, you guys really could use an update on your website. We've got some companies to talk to, or this sounds like something that could be a great PR move. Would you like us to bring in, our PR partner to get some earned media for you? So to me, I like working that way because people that own their own business, and have done it for a long time tend to give 120% in everything. And if another business owner I know that they're going to give their 120%, then I'm like, yeah, let's just partner with that and not try to manage a whole bunch of people.
Great question. Thank you, Brian.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, and some of what you just said dovetails into a question that one of our other students emailed in. Jenny wanted to know, when you were first starting your business, which you were just talking about, and I don't believe you actually mowed lawns, but
I didn't, but I did data entry.
when you were first starting your business, did you find it was helpful to target one type of business or industry to assist with social media? Or was it easy to use the marketing processes you use interchangeably between different kinds of businesses?
So when I started this, social media was still really new in the Midwest, especially, right? And so that was the differentiator in the beginning. In fact, there was another social media company in business at the time that owner called me one day and said, can I meet you? Because if I tell one more person I'm in social media and they say, oh, do you know Mich Hancock? He's like, please, so that was the kind of the differentiator there. But either way, so this is a really good tidbit for anybody out there that's starting a business and that needs to set themselves apart, because that's really what you need to do to get attention, right? And this is by no means an easy task that I'm going to give you guys, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. Your mission when you first start a business is to figure out how are you different than everybody else. And that difference can be for me, honestly, the way I look is different. I have alopecia. I have no hair. It's easy to spot me. I'm the gal that's got something bright and colorful on her head. The name of my company is a differentiator because people always say, why 100th monkey? Like, what does that even mean? So that's an opener, right? But other companies, again, especially in that crowded space, how do I get myself to stand out? And one of the things that I help clients with is we go through a process to figure out, how do you introduce yourself? You're at a meeting. How do you introduce yourself? So, when somebody comes up to you, yeah, oh, I'm in insurance. And they're like, stop talking. I know exactly what you do. I don't need to listen to anymore, right? How do we show up differently? I have a client who talks to meeting planners. That's her audience. And when she tells meeting planners, she is a site selection manager, which means that she helps them find the place to put their meeting. There's so many of her out there, they don't want her to talk anymore as soon as she starts. So we had to come up with something that would really catch people's attention. And it took a few months for us to come up with it. But the thing we came up with for her, and she loves it and uses it, and it works. When people ask her what she does, she says, I help companies sleep around. And the person stops and goes, wait, what? She goes, I do site selection for my clients. Oh my God, well, now she's interesting. Now she's somebody I want to talk to. And this kind of a process doesn't only have to work with how you introduce yourself, but also I did it with two ladies who were writing a book, and their book was geared toward people who were retiring from their corporate job, but now they want to live their passion. Now they want to go out and start their own business. And they felt like their book needed something that could be like the theme throughout the book to really carry it. So my idea for them was it's called a tumblewing. You can look it up, but a tumblewing is something that you can craft much like a paper airplane. And the only way to make it fly is to have something underneath it, like maybe a notebook where you're going like this to keep it flying. And I'm like, you guys are supporting people who want to live their passion now that they've done their X amount of years in the corporate world. You're the notebook, keeping them the tumblewing flying. So the tumblewing became the muse, if you will, throughout their book. Love doing this with people. It's not easy, but when you find it, it really helps them to take their business to the next level.
Great. That's great. Thank you. So we have about 5 minutes left. I want to respect everybody's time. So I have another question that one of our students emailed in. This goes to another piece of what you do. What do you think makes TED Talks so captivating to the audiences that listen? And why do you think it is important to provide them in the St. Louis area?
So it's become the gold standard, right? The gold standard. There is not some special magical formula we use for TED Talks. It has a certain feel and vibe to it. Now, we as a TEDx, our goal is with all of our talks to show up on TED.com. And they don't always, but we've got a great record with it. And the reason why we do is because we truly help our speakers to craft that TED Talk. So what's great about them? 18 minutes or less. Honestly, we're now trying to get them to 10 to 12 minutes because gets a higher percentage of click-throughs. You have an expert, whether it's an industry expert, a person, a topic expert, something that maybe you've never heard of this person, but boy, now you're glad you know them because they've got this amazing information to share. Since it's such a short talk, every word is important. And so it really becomes like you get to consume this easily within a small amount of time, but they're doing something that is perspective changing. And a good TED Talk is going to, at the end of it, you're going to say, I just never even thought of that. That's so cool. Now, what we do in St. Louis is different than a lot of TEDx's out there, is we only feature people from our area because we feel that St. Louis can always use a shot of pride because we don't look so great out there in the media. And we want the world to see that, you know what, there's a lot going on here in St. Louis that you don't know about. We have amazing people that live here that are impacting the world, not just our city, but also impacting the world. And that's why I do it. I find it to be, I love it because I think the people on our stage and on the big TED stage and other stages, they're, TEDx's around the globe. They are people that are working for the better of our world. They are all about the evolution, not the other one.
Got it. All right. Well, I just want to give the last 2 minutes of our time over to you and to ask if there's something that you wish I'd ask you or that you had a chance to say that I didn't give you the chance to say earlier.
Oh, gosh, I don't know. I mean, I feel like I got to say everything. I don't know if any of you listen to podcasts, but I do have a podcast, Mishmash, Michmash. It's just really about kindness. It's really people doing kind things. So if you're feeling down and let's talk about kind things. I would love for you guys to come to our TEDx event. Our next TEDx event is on December 3rd. We have a women's event that afternoon and an innovation event that evening. Some people you may have heard of is Maxine Clark will be at our women's event, and Jim McKelvey, owner of Square, he will be at our innovation event. Our website is TEDxSaintLouis.org. But yeah, if you come to the event, you'll see me. I'll be running around. I'll be on stage, all that stuff. Come say hi.
All right. Well, if any of the students have any more questions after they've listened to you, is it okay if they reach out to ask?
Absolutely. My email address is mich at 100thmm.com. So that's for 100th Monkey Media. And that's our website, 100thmm.com. And yeah, please feel free to reach out to me. If I don't get to you right away, we're exploding like crazy in our business right now. But I promise I catch up on emails usually every weekend. So I will get to it. But yeah.
Got it. I'll put your email address in our virtual classroom in the
Very cool.
for this video so they can find it. And I'll be sure to manage their expectations about that. Congratulations on the growth. That's great news.
Yeah, it's insane, but it's awesome. So yes.
All right. Well, I really enjoyed this conversation. I hope Brian and Danny did as well. And I'm sure the rest of the students will enjoy it when they get a chance to watch it.
Thank you.
So thank you very much. You have a great
thank
evening.
You guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. And you know what? I definitely want to be there on December 3rd. And let me ask you this. Also, do y'all do anything like elevator pitches for your clients or no?
Do what? Elevator pitch? Yeah. No, that's what I'm talking about when I was talking about the elevator pitch. Those
Mhm.
tend to be 30 seconds long. Who's got that time anymore? We don't have that attention span. So I want to get you down to 3 to 7 words.
Good.
Wow.
I love to talk to you. I'm starting my business, and I'll be talking to you.
Reach out to me, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take care,
Have a
everybody.
wonderful
All
day.
right.
Thank you. All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.